In this final episode, you will witness my shameless assault on Ukraine. However, the enemy was online and fought back, resulting in the loss of some of my aircraft. Then, an unexpected visitor from distant Africa will drop by with his level 4 destroyers, and reduce my beautiful level 5 army base in Belfast to rubble. Possibly, along with much more. While my coastal defenses rely on corvettes and sheer optimism. I hope I've managed to scare you enough to make you doubt whether I can actually win this. Will the imperialist tyrant be overthrown? You'll find out in just a few minutes. Let's go back to the times of my shameless attack on Ukraine. Let me present my air forces. I currently have 3 wings of fighters, each consisting of 2 normal and 2 naval ASF, along with 3 wings of strike fighters. 27 aircraft in total. Quite a respectable number for day 23. I also already have elite special forces making their way toward the airbase in Lviv. To defeat Ukraine's spec ops, I needed my own elite troops. And to take their elitism to the next level, I recruited them straight out of Oxford, one of the finest universities on the planet. As you can see from the reports, I've already attacked the forces capturing Denmark. This won't bring me much strategic gain, but if there's ever an opportunity to irritate your opponent, you have to take it. Additionally, this will slow down Ukraine's expansion, as he has already surpassed me economically. The Scandinavian states that had been trading with Iceberg failed miserably in their attempt to attack Ukraine. They didn't even manage to destroy a single unit. My decision to let them launch their assault instead of conquering Sweden and Norway turned out to be a mistake. However, I wasn't just sitting idly by all this time. I was continuously researching and have now unlocked a lot of units which I showed on the screen on the left. With them, I will already have enough power to defeat any opponent. First, I decided to check what was stationed at the nearest airfield. Fighters were the first to go in, followed closely by my strike wings. The airfield revealed an infantry signature, not exactly what I was hoping for. Next, I checked the Warsaw complex. Another infantry signature. The enemy had already noticed me and taken countermeasures. I had just decided to head toward the airbase in Lviv when I spotted a green signature attacking me using patrol. I was hit by Ukraine's fighter wing, destroyed 3 of his fighters, and lost only 1 of my own. So I immediately sent in my second wing to finish off the last 2 planes. However, my radar picked up another aircraft signature. Judging by its speed, these were also fighters level 3 or higher. The outcome of our aerial duel was the same as before. I lost 1 plane, while Ukraine lost 3. Very nice. At this moment I should have attacked both remaining squadrons with my fighter wing at once, leaving the enemy with just 2 barely alive fighters. That way I could have ended this aerial battle on the spot. But greed got the better of me. Noticing that the enemy fighters were returning to the airbase in Lviv, I decided to catch them on the ground. Unfortunately, I realized too late that I wouldn't make it in time because my elite attack aircraft, with its sluggish speed of 10, was slowing down my strike stacks. Even after removing the EAA from the wing, it didn't help. I should have done it right from the start. I sent my last intact fighter wing to patrol over Lviv. However, it got engaged with a Ukrainian helicopter that was patrolling nearby, and had to return for refueling. This wasn't an ideal outcome. However, on the bright side, this meant I had hit both enemy fighter squadrons while they were still grounded. Now they had even less health, which meant I didn't have to abandon the idea of attacking the remnants with my strike fighter wing, even if they managed to take off. I intercepted them in the air and successfully destroyed 2 more ASFs. A solid result. Additionally, I finally launched an attack on the remaining aircraft using my last fighter wing. However, my opponent wasn't clueless either. Using patrol technique, he struck 2 of my wings, taking out 1 of my strike fighters, though he lost 1 of his 2 remaining ASFs in the process. After that, Ukraine sacrificed his last ASF in the most advantageous way possible, taking down 2 more of my aircraft. I could have intercepted him and prevented those losses, but my reaction was too slow. I have no one to blame but myself. To sum up, I lost 5 aircraft, while the enemy lost 10. Not bad, Though considering my massive advantage with strike fighters, the result could have been even better. An hour later, Ukraine launched an attack on me with a gunship wing. However, he got too close, allowing me to see exactly where the helicopters would return for refueling. Naturally, I would try to intercept them on the way back. As a result, I managed to hit the gunships once before they reached Budapest since all my other fighters had gone for refueling. My most powerful ASF wing had now arrived. The gunships were still refueling, and they would take off soon. It would be better for me to attack them in the air, but if they remained on the airfield, I would simply strike them with my strike fighters. I waited for the helicopters to take off, but didn't rush to attack. I wanted to track their route first. From my pool of aircraft, I selected 2 ASFs and ordered a direct attack on the helicopters to ensure they would engage the enemy, no matter where he flew. After that, I launched a strike with my main wing, destroying 3 gunships. My next move was to remove 2 EAAs from the strike fighter wing and send the remaining units to attack the helicopters. As you can see, my fighters are now revealing the real-time location of the helicopters. Thanks to this tracking, I can direct the rest of my air force to that position. Since strike fighters are also effective against helicopters, I can use them for this mission. As a result, I took down another one. With the stage set, my fighter wing dove into combat, but it didn't have enough firepower. So I had to use a second strike fighter wing to finish off the last gunship, and bring the curtain down on this act. Next, I destroyed the airfield in Lviv, to limit the mobility of special forces and prevent the enemy from redeploying units in my direction. Now I'm using one of my favorite tricks, which is perfect for the nuclear winter map. The news reports show that insurgents have already attacked today. This means I don't have to worry about them attacking my cities again, so I can safely remove my troops from cities where morale will reach 34 points the next day. I've plotted multiple routes for land grabs. This will significantly speed up my conquests and provide a solid boost to my economy. In Ukraine's capital, I discovered level 4 special forces. That's a serious threat to me. At this moment I hope I'm demasking the enemy while staying undetected myself, thanks to the superior view range, 40 for regular special forces and 55 for the elite version. Meanwhile, the rest of my special forces are scouting enemy ships. Ukraine has frigates. That's bad news for me, but I can work with it. 6 hours later I detected 2 naval signatures near my precious homeland cities. It seems my enemies have no regard for the British Empire as a great naval power. But in all seriousness, enemy ships are a real threat to me, so I dispatched my fighters for reconnaissance. As it turned out, Guinea had sailed in to bomb my cities with destroyers. Looks like they're conspiring with Ukraine to knock me off the top of the leaderboard. The second signature turned out to be a battle group of 5 destroyers. In general, this isn't dangerous for me, since I can attack destroyers with my aircraft and take them down quickly. After their villainous strike on Belfast, I seized the opportunity and launched a corvette attack. This bite may have been small, but it contributed to the battle and lured the enemy into the shallow waters between the islands, ensuring there was no escape. I struck the destroyers once more with my corvette and sent my aircraft to attack. This process will take some time, but I've already taken down the first destroyer, so the momentum is on my side. I'm also capitalizing on the destroyers being preoccupied with bombing my infrastructure, attacking them with my level 1 corvettes. Guinea occasionally tries to catch me, but when he fails, he just keeps bombing the city I had prepared for TDS mobilization. After 2 more strikes, another destroyer was sunk. Soon I'll deal with the one attacking Glasgow, though it's not my top priority since it's farther away. Now I'm maneuvering my corvette close to the destroyers to bait the enemy into chasing it, instead of destroying my infrastructure. Meanwhile, as you can see in the news, I've already captured Kyiv and eliminated 1 special forces unit. But considering the level of these units, there must be more divisions lurking somewhere. Once again, I attacked the naval group with my corvettes and sank another destroyer. Now only 2 remain, and they no longer pose a serious threat. Exploiting the enemy's indecision and inability to devise a winning strategy, I am attacking with everything I've got. Guinea decided to redirect his second destroyer toward my capital. This won't save the enemy, but it will help him go offline with a sense of mission accomplished. Because given the sheer size of my air force, it stands no chance. I haven't even lost half of my aircraft's health, so I can continue my war without casualties. Only one destroyer remains from the first naval group. I demasked it with my fighters and swiftly sent it down to greet SpongeBob at the bottom. After several more strikes, the last destroyer was left with just 22 health points. My revenge for Belfast and Glasgow is near. One final attack left it with a single HP. I finished the job with my fighters. As is clearly evident from the unfolding battle, destroyers are nothing more than easy prey for fixed-wings aircraft. Let's return to Ukraine. I noticed a frigate departing from the city of Odessa and heading toward Dnipro. Apparently, Ukraine is planning to set up a defensive position there, likely to use artillery covered by its frigates. I couldn't pass up the opportunity and launched an attack on 3 naval groups using my elite loitering munition. As a result, the frigates lost about 40% of their health. A fantastic outcome. Soon after, my scout spotted a large infantry division, and I immediately began retreating, since it could demask my James Bond. I truly hope the enemy didn't see me and hasn't taken any countermeasures, such as deploying gunships. As the screen shows, the frigates currently have 80 health points remaining and an anti-aircraft damage stat of 20. That's a tough target for my half-alive aircraft, but I can still work with it. My special forces spotted an infantry unit heading toward Odessa. I'll try to intercept it mid-air, but to avoid scaring the enemy off, I need to strike once he's too close to escape. I waited until the infantryman was nearly at Odessa and then launched the attack. Let's switch to another front. Off the northern coast of Ireland, I detected 2 transport convoys. It seems they were meant to land after the destroyers had cleared my coastline. Fortunately for me, Guinea made poor preparations, and now I can intercept these convoys with my corvettes, which no longer pose any threat to me. Meanwhile, near the Kyiv complex, I spotted a division of 10 special forces. I got really scared and immediately ordered my air force to strike this dangerous opponent with extremely high offensive stats. Otherwise, he'll turn me into a pancake. The enemy continues mobilizing helicopters. I'm holding off on attacking them. First, I need to regroup my special forces into a single battalion. Otherwise, the battle will drag on, giving Ukraine time to react. Ukrainian special forces scouted my troops in Kyiv, and to my surprise, began retreating. I got incredibly lucky. Now I can strike with my air force, though I constantly have to demask them using my scouts. During the first air raid, I eliminated 3 units. And immediately after the strike, I hit the attack button to avoid losing sight of them. The enemy artillery division wiped out my infantry and left nothing but a scorched patch in this province. That's unfortunate, but now I have a rough idea of the artillery's location. And I know it's strong enough to eliminate a unit in a single strike. Back at the Royal Navy's favorite headache, I caught Guinea with my corvette. I'd love to say this front isn't worth much attention, but off the western coast of Ireland, another naval signature has appeared and is moving rapidly. I dispatched aircraft to identify it. I relocated my 3rd Strike Fighter wing to the airfield near Lviv to continue attacking special forces. As you can see, I always hit the attack button in case the enemy attempts an air assault. After that, I engaged the target using patrol to save time and immediately pressed the attack button again. My James Bond from Oxford has spotted the artillery. Turns out it's a division of 10 rocket launcher. An extremely tempting target, though special forces remain the greater threat to me, especially since I lack UAVs or AWACS. So I'll focus on them instead. In Donetsk, I found a full wing of 5 gunships. Ukraine still has plenty of forces, though he's hesitant to use them against me. I continue targeting the Special Forces division I've been demasking with my own agents. Only 5 survivors still stubbornly refuse to become statistics. The division has stopped moving, but I haven't stopped striking. Based on what I've observed, Ukraine tends to use non-combined stacks of the same unit type. usually no more than 10, like the ASF, MLRS, and gunships we've seen earlier. So I hope there are no additional special forces lurking around. Meanwhile, in the West Coast Trouble Zone, Guinea has sent another batch of ground forces. And another destroyer. However, it attacked my radar, which suggests it's sailing in aggressive mode, provided by Security Council. I'll demonstrate later how this can be used to your advantage. I regrouped my air force and added a few ASFs into the strike wings to improve their damage distribution. After the next air raid, just one infantry unit was left standing. Following several more attacks, I finally finished off the remains of that division. I still need to protect my airfields against special forces, but not as tightly from this moment. Time to return to the Celtic Sea. I baited the destroyer by placing my radar in its path, and while it's on cooldown, I'm attacking it with corvettes. This is an easy way to turn aggressive mode against its own user. Just another clever application of my favorite unit, radar. Guinea has begun an amphibious landing in Portugal. 2 Royal Guards are already on their way to reclaim any territory in case the enemy manages to capture it. I'll try to eliminate the invaders during disembarkation using my aircraft, though first I need to make sure the incoming naval signatures near Ireland aren't a threat. For the second time I lured the destroyer into attacking my radar, and now I'm sailing in with my powerful corvette battle group. This strategy has proven to be incredibly reliable. Meanwhile, another transport convoy is closing in on Ireland. Wasting no time, I struck it with my fighter wing. After that, I finally sent my aircraft to Spain, since I can handle the remaining enemies without them. I noticed that Ukraine was flying in with his gunship wing to attack my Royal Guard, so I immediately retreated and prepared an ambush with my aircraft. The plan was to wait for the gunships to arrive and start patrolling after losing sight of their target. Then I just need to overlap my patrol radius with theirs. At the same time I kept my air force far enough away to avoid being spotted too early. Now witness my plan in action. I timed it perfectly and launched the strike the moment the enemy started patrolling, resulting in the destruction of 3 gunships. A flawless move. The enemy was distracted, so I managed to land another hit using my fighter squadron. I also spotted another air signature landing at the airbase in Dnipro. That will be the next target for my Royal Air Force. I regrouped my air units and am now launching attacks on all 3 ground signatures and the frigate battle group. Think I'm about to lose a bunch of planes? Of course not. I've organized my wings for optimal damage distribution to avoid any losses. Right now I'm using 4 different aircraft types, but if things get any riskier, I can even add a 5th to the mix. Boom. Contact established. Initial inspection reveals that I've eliminated 12 infantry units. After the strike, I noticed that my 7th Elite Squadron lost around 80 health points. Fortunately, since I took out 3 of the 4 frigates, the enemy's air defense can no longer deliver a fatal blow. As a result, all 15 of my aircraft survived. I also sent my special forces to finish off the helicopter, and successfully completed the mission. Now only a few remaining units need to be destroyed, and I'll finally be able to focus entirely on the Guinea and Spanish front. Near my homeland, I launched yet another attack on a destroyer. It's clear Guinea has now disabled aggressive mode, which means I can strike with my corvettes without triggering an automatic counterattack. I took down one of the 2 destroyers and continued my relentless assault. 2 or 3 more hits, and my mighty corvettes will prevail over a stronger adversary. I'm not particularly worried about the attack on my capital. Thanks to the dome, my buildings remain unharmed. After a second strike on Dnipro, only 3 ground units remained. One more air raid and I can finally send my aircraft back to London to recover their health. Although Guinea managed to capture the city of Faro, he was quickly neutralized. The Royal Guard will now take care of restoring the borders of my empire. But I still must remain vigilant against further attacks in Spain. That last Guinean destroyer has now been sent to the bottom to feed the British sharks. The next day, just as I was starting to feel secure, Guinea began another landing in Portugal, this time with a large elite division, although it lacks proper air defense. As you may have noticed from the pop-up notification, my Special Forces squad took out Ukraine's mobile SAM launcher. Ukraine did find a potential counter to my strategy, but far too late. I've already conquered nearly all of his territory. As for my research progress, I'm currently upgrading mobile SAM to level 4 and working on elite submarines. Just one wolfpack of level 2 elite subs should be enough to defend against most naval threats. The Royal Air Force was deployed on a business trip to the Madrid complex. They hadn't had the chance to fully recover their health in London, so I had to use wings that included ASF units. This reduced their firepower but increased their survivability. I'm extremely careful not to lose any units during airstrikes, and I'm always ready to regroup or even remove one aircraft if needed. However, since the enemy isn't defending with his own fighters, and the division only includes a single mobile anti-air, wiping it out wasn't particularly difficult. Guinea managed to capture the Lisbon complex. Annoying? Yes. A real problem? Not at all. He won't be able to hold it. I'll simply erase his troops, and the Royal Guard will handle the rest. The elimination of the infantry officer marked the end of my conflict with Guinea. 3 more days passed. I captured victory points in Iceland and Finland to reach the victory threshold. With no worthy foes remaining, I'm attacking Sweden because there's nothing else left to do on the final day of the match. You might say this campaign was too easy, and I'm not even going to argue with that. It only featured 2 major battles, one against Ukraine and the other against Guinea. I even delayed capturing the points by 1 day, hoping for a bonus battle. Sadly, it never came. After the match ended, I discovered that South Africa had been heading toward my victory point in Switzerland, but didn't make it in time. Unfortunately, I don't have a footage of the remaining enemy army composition after the win, but I'll definitely include one in future campaigns. Thanks for watching until the end. See you soon.